Question from Lily, will I ever bring back the beard? Hey everyone, every year around the end of the year, I do a lot of media interviews to talk about the year that was and talk about how we're looking forward to the future. They had a lot of questions, but I wanted to hear from you. So I asked you to send in questions that you had for me, and you didn't disappoint. We got thousands of questions in. My team gathered a whole whack of them, put them in this bowl, and I'm looking forward to getting to as many of them as I can. Thanks very much, and I'll dive in. From Shadiksri, what help can the government give people planning to buy their first home? That's a great question, and one that a lot of people are asking. We actually put forward some really big measures in our last budget on that. The first thing we did was create a $40,000 tax-free savings account just so you can save up for your first home. That's tax-free on the way into the account, tax-free when you pull it out of the account. One of the other things we're doing is cracking down on the unfair practices that we've seen in the real estate market, whether it was blind bidding, whether it's non-resident foreign buyers getting into the market. And the third thing we're doing is we're sending about $4 billion to municipalities so that they can accelerate the processes around building homes, whether that's greater density, accelerated building permits. Different cities and towns have different requirements, but those are things that we're stepping up on so that we can accelerate and double the amount of new housing being built over the next 10 years. When is the childcare fee reducing? Been waiting on it for 8 months. Well, that really depends on what part of the country you're in. But I can tell you that fee reduction is supposed to be in before December 31st of this year. The deal we signed with all provinces said a 50% average reduction this year for all provinces except Quebec, that's already down at $8.50 a day, as all other provinces go towards $10 a day in the coming years. Wherever you are in the country, you should see your childcare fees reduced by half before the end of this year. If that's not happening, not only will you be asking questions of your provincial government, whichever government that is, but we will be asking questions of that provincial government because we sent billions of dollars to make affordable childcare a reality across the country to all provinces, and they have to meet those targets for you, for your family, and for families across the country. Will I ever bring back the beard? For many of us, including me, the beard is associated with a very tough time of lockdowns and pandemic, and I really hope I don't bring it back. Besides, the beard was almost completely white. My kids felt it made me too old looking, so I'm glad to be back and clean shaven. I got a question on gun control in French asking if we were going to revoke or pull back C-21. The answer is no. C-21 is part of our commitment to Canadians to move forward on strengthening gun control in smart, responsible ways. We have frozen the market on handguns. It's now impossible to buy or sell a handgun in this country. We've moved forward on a ban on assault-style weapons that's been in place for 2 years, and we're making sure with C-21 that assault weapons will never be legal again in this country. The issue that's come up for a lot of people, and I suspect Eric, who sent in the question, is that there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation from the Conservative Party and from the gun lobby about us going after hunting rifles and shotguns. The reality is we're focused on banning the most dangerous weapons, those assault-style weapons that were designed to kill the largest number of people as quickly and efficiently as possible. From Pablo Pete, what are you reading at the moment? I'm reading The Berlin Diary by William L. Shirer. I've been reading a whole bunch of different things. One of the latest books I read was Michelle Good's Five Little Indians. I just finished, which is a big holiday read I recommend for a whole bunch of people, the latest Stephen King, which is called Fairy Tale, and it's phenomenal. Also reading a series by Ian Hamilton called the Ava Lee series, which is about a Chinese-Canadian forensic accountant ninja. There's so many good books out there. I sort of balance between responsible books I read for work and just books that allow me to kick back and enjoy a good story. I think we need more supports at home. As much as I think people need to be helped all over the world, we have a lot of homeless and low middle income people who just can't keep up with the ever rising costs of everything. It's getting worse with no clear solution. Do you have one? In 2015, we made a promise to focus on the middle class and people working hard to join it. And that's exactly what we did going forward, because we took over from a Conservative Party that still believed, and actually sort of still believes, in the trickle-down theory, that if you give tax breaks and advantages to the wealthiest, to those who've been successful in the economy, well, they will turn around and create jobs and economic growth for everyone. It's a nice idea if it worked, but it doesn't. What we've done over the past 7 years is actually put more money in the pockets of people who need it, with things like a Canada Child Benefit that stopped sending checks to millionaire families and focused more money on the families that actually needed it, and lifted close to 500,000 kids out of poverty. We're doing the same around seniors, we're doing the same with youth. We're looking at the Canada Workers Benefit, which is increasing this year, to make sure that people who have low-income jobs, working minimum wage perhaps, get a top-up to reward them for continuing to be in the workforce and not falling onto provincial income supports, for example. These are things we're doing to stay focused on people who actually need it. That focus on creating success happens when you invest in supports for everyone. But the other part of your question was, why not focus everything on helping people at home and not people around the world, because there's so many people who need help at home. I agree, and the most part of what we're doing is at home. But we also learned from the pandemic, from the global inflation crisis, from the war in Ukraine, the problems we have at home are related to problems going on around the world. Investing in supports for Africa, investing in climate resilience in South America, getting rid of plastic pollution and building better infrastructure in Asia are things that are going to benefit Canadians in indirect and direct ways. So yes, Canada is incredibly fortunate to be able to help out around the world, and we need to, even as we support people at home. Okay, question from Callum. If a dog wore pants, would he wear them like this or like this? I don't know. I think the whole point of pants is to cover your bum. So I think I have to reject this one. Even though, yes, he's got legs in the front, I've seen enough cute dogs walking on their hind legs or standing up that I think I'd go with option 2 on the dogs wearing pants. Thank you, Callum. I think with that, I am out of time. Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you for putting in your questions. I enjoyed it. I would have loved to got through more of them. I think it's a great way of being connected and hearing from you directly and answering some really good questions. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Have a very, very happy holidays and Merry Christmas. J'ai pas pu répondre à autant de questions que j'aurais voulu, mais ça veut simplement dire qu'il va falloir qu'on refasse ça bientôt. Merci tout le monde. Bonne année.